Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I am Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are doing the Los Angeles Chargers 3-round mock draft. But before we do that, we have a fun announcement. The Tracy Take has partnered with BetUS for all of our viewers. If they want to bet a couple bucks, click that link down below. They have a fun promotion going on right now for first-time players at the site of 125% match for the first 3 deposits. We have a lot of fun sports activities coming up here. Final Four is this weekend. NBA and NHL finals are right around the corner. And honestly, won't be too long till it is the NFL season. They will have fun weekly bets every single time. So click that link down below. While you're at it, be sure to like this video and also subscribe to the channel to get notified whenever we create new content. We're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers, and we're just about 200 away now by the NFL draft. So any help is greatly appreciated. And Ryan, with that being said, let's pull up the slide here. So we want to go over the offseason so far a little bit for the Chargers. And the Chargers came into the offseason with some pretty bad cap space. I think they were second worst or third worst overall. In overall cap hit, up there with the Bills and with the New Orleans Saints. So they had to really let a lot of guys go, such as Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Even had to let go of a couple, or just move on and not be able to re-sign a lot of guys, such as Michael Davis or Kenneth Murray and Eric Kendricks. Guys that were pretty consistent on the defensive side of the ball. Some of the better players on the team. They did move on from Austin Eckler. I think he is a good running back in the NFL. I think Gus Edwards is going to be able to provide a similar type of production just with compared to last year with what Eckler was able to put on the field. I think the biggest thing from what I've noticed is, and it's going to be foreshadowing to the mock that we have coming up here, but they haven't really done anything in the receiving room. They have signed Will Dissly and Hayden Hurst, Hayden Hurst is coming over from Carolina, and then the Will Dissly, I believe, is coming over from Seattle.
Yes,
let me double check that here. But to me, is that telling you the same thing, Ryan, that this is going to be a very pass catcher friendly draft for the Chargers?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at that room, and it's definitely one of the thinnest. But I think right now Quentin Johnston is the top guy in that room. And I will say Keenan Allen was getting older. Mike Williams tore his ACL last year. So, like, those guys, like, I had significant questions coming into this season anyway. So I think that they were going to go and potentially make a move at that spot anyways. But now it is much more of a pressing need. And honestly, I think that's just a good transition over into our first pick here. So at pick 5, we have them standing pat and just taking the best wide receiver on the board, and that's going to be Malik Neighbors. To me, there is no wide receiver in this draft class that has a better superpower than what Malik Neighbors brings with his speed. He affects the game so much with just how fast he is. And he's not just a speed guy. He gets in and out of his breaks really well. He runs fantastic routes. He understands leverage and whatnot against defensive backs and sets defensive backs up really, really well. So I really like this fit here. I could also see them potentially trading back with this pick. Also, Rome Odunze is another fantastic wide receiver that can play all over the formation. Doesn't quite have the same amount of speed that Malik Neighbors has, but he has all the route running ability. He has great hands. He's a little bit better probably in contested catch situations, but Malik Neighbors, fantastic wide receiver prospect. And a lot of people could have him go above Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah. It's I personally think you have to go with Marvin Harrison Jr. first overall. And I think maybe there's a possibility the Chargers are desperate. I know they had to give up some draft capital, but if New England would want to go back 2 spots and they would want to go get Marvin Harrison Jr. and just solidify themselves as like that, get that number 1 receiver in their eyes, I could see them doing that. But also, too, sitting here at 5, they know they're going to get at least one of the top 3 receivers. And we ended up going with Neighbors here. I could easily see people going from Odunze. I think that those are going to be the top 2 options for them. Potentially, they could trade back. But kind of as we talked about already, Justin Herbert's one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and as of right now, doesn't really have anybody to throw to. So I think this is going to be the class that they go after it here, especially if they segue to their 2nd round pick. We do have them double dipping, going with Roman Wilson, Jim Harbaugh, getting his number 1 receiver from last year, the national championship. He knows him; he's familiar with him. I also think too that he's a great complement to what Quentin Johnston brings to the table, and also what Malik Neighbors is going to bring to the table as well. He's just a consistent receiver. I would put him kind of in that Ladd McConkey, Ricky Pearsall kind of range as well, where you can utilize him in the slot or kind of move him around wherever he's going to have his ability to get open. So I really like this kind of 1-2 combo here because in general, I think that with the moves that they've made so far defensively, I think that If they can stay healthy, they're going to be good. They have a good offensive line when healthy. Their biggest issue just last year and the past couple of years has been injuries and just poor defensive coaching. So I think if
Yeah.
they can kind of go and rebuild this receiving room, they're setting Justin Herbert up for success.
Yeah, for sure. And that's I forget the name of their center, but Rashawn Slater's a really solid offensive lineman. Jamari Salyer has been a very good late round gem that they've found. And so I think they have the offensive line pretty much in place, and maybe they can address it with some later day 3 picks. But going and getting 2 wide receivers to restock that wide receiver room here at 1 and 2, especially guys with this much speed, I think would be a fantastic option for them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And so, go ahead.
I was going to say, honestly, let's kind of move on now to their 3rd and final pick. And we're going to go with Braylon Trice here, the edge rusher from Washington. A little bit of a tweener guy. He's going to be about 270 pounds. I know he lost a bunch of weight right before the combine, but his playing weight is going to be about 270, 275 pounds. So a little bit big for kind of that outside linebacker role. But I think when you look at Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, both those guys are in their early to mid 30s, and Joey Bosa hasn't played a full season in a couple seasons now. You need to have that edge rusher. And to me, the big difference between Braylon Trice and the guys that they have on their roster currently is just he's very stout against the run. He holds up really well against the run. He might not be the most bendy pass rusher, but when he gets into the pads, he has a great bull rush. He holds up, like I said, holds up well against the run, and is to me a true 3-down edge rusher.
Yeah, I think he's a guy. He come in. He's going to provide a lot of meaningful snaps. They can potentially build around him as well as he continues to get better and matures and maybe learns from Nick Bosa and Khalil Mack. At minimum, he's going to be a good compliment to them. I will say some other potential options here. They did lose Will Clapp in free agency. They moved on. He moved to Buffalo. They did sign Bradley Bozeman, so that is a big replacement on the center side as well. He was a starter for Carolina there. So, but this could be a spot potentially if they want to address the offensive line. I could see them going that route. But also see them potentially going with a guy like Blake Corum if Jim Harbaugh would want to double dip. I think he would fit well with Justin Herbert. He's a little bit more of that traditional running back, but he can improve and continue to keep running, catching out of the backfield. And I think him being familiar with Jim Harbaugh and also too with this offensive line in front of them that when healthy is one of the better ones in the league, I think he could come in with success. I think this 3rd pick, could really go a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
For the Los Angeles Chargers. But in general, though, I think Chargers do have areas that they need to improve on, but it's just the receiving room is so pressing that I think it's very likely that they double dip in their first 2 picks. Just because we got to go and get some top prospects here. I know there's a very deep receiving class, but I also think too you're going to get the 2nd best receiver, potentially then the 9th best receiver in this class on who you want. So we went with Roman Wilson. They could easily go get Xavier Leggett. If Ladd McConkey falls a couple spots, they could go get Ladd McConkey. I think even a guy like Ricky Pearsall or maybe Xavier Worthy, who's got that speed, I think would be interesting. A lot of very interesting names. I think they could go there at 37.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think really they're going to be in a best player available scenario. I just think at the 3 picks, the first 2, the best player available happened to be a wide receiver, and that also is a big area of need for them. I could also see them maybe investing in an interior offensive lineman with that 2nd pick, continue to solidify things. We know Jim Harbaugh is very big on investing in the trenches, so it's going to be a very interesting draft. I think it's going to be very different than what we've seen from the Chargers in the past now that they have that new regime in place. Yep. So let's go ahead and wrap this one up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you thought of this Los Angeles Chargers 3-round mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you do differently? And other than that, we will see you guys next time.